It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And this is news that you can use from CarEdge with your host, me, Ray, and, well, my handsome son over there, Zach. How are you today, Zach?
I am doing great, Pops. I have under my armpit your old Mini of Baltimore County sales card holder. So we are putting stuff into the new office, Dad. A lot of your things I have found, but we'll have that conversation offline. Dad, here's the deal.
Yes.
Here's the deal. Ford, GM, and Stellantis, they want the strike to happen tonight, Dad. They want the strike to happen. We're going to talk about that.
Who told you that?
I've got a sense. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they want the strike to happen. We're going to talk about that. Then, of course, stick around for your favorite segment of the show. I'm sure we're going to have some good, really, you've got to be kidding me, later on as well. Dad, let's talk a little bit about this. We have gone through a period of time where there has been an undersupply of new cars. And now we are in a time where there is an oversupply of new cars. The oversupply of new cars are only impacting the domestic brands, GM, Ford, and Stellantis.
Yes.
That those automakers don't necessarily want to keep pumping out vehicles because it's actually putting downward pricing pressure on their inventory. This UAW strike is serendipitous in many ways. It means that inventory is not going to be produced. Yeah, Dad, they've already shut down multiple plants because of undisclosed or unclear part shortages. So I have this hypothesis, Dad, that they're actually excited about the fact that tonight at 11:59 p.m., there will be a UAW walkout, a UAW strike.
At some facilities. Not all, but some. Well, I get what you're saying, but do you think that perhaps the massive day supply of inventory for the big three, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, is something that was planned for if and when there was a strike? Because they've proven over the last few months they can build the cars if they want to. Okay. And so they could have their inventory levels skyrocket in a sense compared to what they had been. And that all could have just been in anticipation of a work stoppage where they wouldn't be able to build cars for a little bit of time. So do they want it? Or are they gung ho to have a strike? I don't think they're gung ho to have a strike. I think they understand that there's probably going to be a strike because it's going to take a little bit of time to bridge the gap between what the UAW asked for and what the big three are offering. I mean, don't forget, the main takeaway was that UAW wanted a 46% pay raise over the life of the contract over 5 years. So far, Stellantis is at 17.5%, GM is at 18%, and Ford's at a 20% increase. The UAW has since lowered their proposed wage increase to the mid-30s.
Mm-hmm.
I've never negotiated anything major in my life other than a couple thousand, 100, God knows how many thousands of car deals. But I'm pretty sure there's a midpoint, what I used to call nirvana, where I could be happy, the customer could be happy. Well, there's a midpoint. There's a nirvana somewhere between the mid-30s that the UAW has lowered their demands to and the 17.5% to 20% that the big three have offered. Now is that nirvana somewhere in the mid-20s, the upper 20s as far as who knows? But they'll find it. The only strike that I can think of that nobody ever seems to suspect that there's going to be an end to would be the writer strike and the Screen Actors Guild strike. And that might be because they realize there's enough pre-recorded television shows and movies over our history that we can watch them dozens of times. But
let's not go too far down that path, Pops. I want to, if it's okay with you, I want to put in perspective this strike, this potential strike. It's going to happen in what state, Dad? Where is it going to happen?
Well, we don't know because these manufacturers have facilities all across the Midwest.
I'll
So
ask the question differently.
but I suppose what you're trying to get me to say is Michigan.
Yeah, Detroit. That's where the big three: Dearborn, Detroit. Dad, right now, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken, is the Detroit Auto Show. So we have the biggest spectacle of the power of automakers, and especially the domestic automakers in the United States. And at the same time, you're 100% right. There's manufacturing plants all throughout the United States.
Yes.
That being said, the UAW, where's the negotiating happening? It's happening in Michigan. And at the same exact time, Dad, let's just do a quick science experiment. You know, I absolutely love doing these things. Let's do a quick science experiment. I'm going to
Yes.
CarEdge.com. Let's look at Ram 1500 inventory in Detroit, Dad. Here, I'm in Redford, Michigan. The day's supply of the new 2024s.
Yeah. Oh, stop it. That cannot be. Okay. I don't want to that's a 10-year supply. So stop it. Okay. I don't want to say that there's something wrong with the math that we're coming up with.
No, that's because the 2024s just must be coming online. Let's look at let's look at a 2023. Oh my gosh. All right, let's look at a 2020. 45. Okay. All right. There you go. Maybe Pops, maybe there isn't the oversupply happening in that area. I think there still is. Let's look at one more. Let's do a Ford really quick. An F-150 if we can. Here we go. An F-150. Let's see what's the day's supply in the only 75. Okay,
Yeah.
but there's 4,000 of them on the
Okay.
market right now. So
And
this
if
is happening.
they don't build another one, it'll take them 75 days to sell them all.
All right, so maybe the inventory situation in that area, boots on the ground, what they're saying maybe it isn't as bad as I was thinking. I mean, obviously for those 2024
But
Ram 1500s, but
but the difference is that if you were to ask a UAW worker, they would say, well, we couldn't have, based on our wages, we couldn't afford to buy one of those trucks. That's as far as the UAW is concerned, that's the real issue. They no longer feel like their employees, they're those union members, based on what they earn building those vehicles, now find themselves shut out of being able to buy one, that their wages aren't high enough to support buying one. That's the real issue. Okay. And it's like something that we talk about every day, and the affordability crisis. And I saw one comment from yesterday. She says, somebody said, well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be told what is affordable and what isn't affordable. Well, okay, maybe for you, maybe for that one person, there is no such thing as an affordability crisis. But for the vast majority of Americans, there is. Okay. And to not want to recognize that is just foolishness. So it exists. It exists for a vast majority of the American population. And UAW workers will tell you that it absolutely exists for them. They can go and they can build these vehicles, and then they cannot take advantage of being able to buy one because their wages won't support that. That's the issue.
Yeah. Now you make a really, really strong point. You're producing these things that then if you even wanted to go out and buy at the employee pricing,
you still couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I guess, I shouldn't base what's affordable based on what's affordable to me. But truth of the matter is,
we looked at the data yesterday, Dad.
Well, I was going to say, truth of the matter is that based on my income and my expenses, I should be able to afford a lot more than the average person because I don't have a lot in the way of expenses. I live in a condo that's paid for. Okay. My monthly HOA fee is $562. Okay. My electricity is less than $100 a month. I don't have a lot of expense. And I look at $50,000-$60,000 vehicles and what that extrapolates out to in a monthly payment. And I go, I couldn't do that. And I'm not saddled with a lot of expense. So how do people that have normal expense,
Yeah.
that their house or housing isn't free in the sense that they don't really have a monthly. I mean, if you want, I have a 570 $675 housing expense with electricity and HOA fees. There's not a lot of people that are only paying 500. I know you're paying a lot more than $575 a month.
Definitely.
Most people are. And so I make a fairly decent living between what you pay me, which is not enough, and Social Security, and I have limited expense. And I look and I go, all this stuff's too expensive.
There were some comments in the chat, Dad, talking about what if the automakers actually produced vehicles that were affordable. Again, we had from Ford, they have the redesigned, redeveloped 2024 F-150. The pricing, Dad, is here on the screen. So you have prices for Ford F-150s ranging from $38,565 to $111,550.
Okay.
But what I want to, yeah.
And the real question would be, is how many of those $38,565 trucks are they producing in comparison to, say, the Platinum or the King Ranch or even the Lariat?
So let's do that quickly here, Dad. I'm going to go, and this is live.
This is another one of your live science experiments?
Yeah, so the zip code that we're in is outside of Detroit. There's 4,640 Ford F-150s, new ones for sale within 50 miles of there. Let's go down here to trim, and we're talking about the XL.
Yeah.
So 10% are XLs?
Okay, and how many of them are 38,000?
Well, this is obviously the 2023 model year, so maybe there are some that, let's see, let's do price.
No, my point is that even if their base model is
12, there are 12 under 40 grand, Dad.
Okay, there you go. A whole 12. That's a pretty low percentage.
It's a super low percentage. And again, the pricing that was just revealed is, you're going to have, and look at the price jump from XL to STX, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's non-trivial. $7,000.
$7 grand. Yeah. That's $7,200 difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, as Joseph Zott said, he said, Ray, you can afford it. You're just not dumb enough to do it. And truth be told, he's right. Okay. I could, if I wanted to, I could afford it. I'm not dumb enough to do it. And I'm not foolish enough to try and justify doing it.
Susanna says, do Florida. Hey, Susanna, I owe you an email response. I promise I will get that to you. Let's come here. Let's do it for Florida real quick, because that's another major market. Let's do a quick peek. So again, that's the pricing for 2024s.
Okay.
Let's come over here. Let's come up with a Florida. Why don't we do Miami?
I like Miami.
33101 is going to be the zip code we want. So we're going to go 33101. There are 30 XLs under $40,000 in Miami. Let's get rid of the price constraint, and let's get rid of the XL. That's pretty good. 30 out of 900. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah. That is what 0.3%.
No, 30 out of 900. That's oh man, you and I embarrassed ourselves on states the other day. Now we're embarrassing ourselves here. It's like 4%. That it's almost 4%.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because 30 out of 100 would be 30%. 30 out of 1,000 would be 3%. 30 out of 900 is like 4%.
Okay. Maybe, I guess. Yeah.
What I am curious about, though, here is something like this Lariat that's $106,000. Yeah, see, this is where the oversupply is happening. $143,000. They must have upfit this.
No, 143-day supply. Not.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, they must have upfit it with a bunch of accessories and things like that.
Justice did the math. It's 3.33%.
So, Pops, let's talk about it. There's going to be a strike. It'll happen tonight. There's a lot of talk about it being a strategic strike, so only walkouts at certain plants. What do you think happens here? Do we ultimately see a deal struck a day later, a week later, a month later? We've talked in the past. The hypothesis you've said is it's not going to last long. There'll be a strike and it won't last long. You still feel that way?
My hypothesis has been and will continue to be until I'm proven wrong. And if I am proven wrong, it wouldn't be the first time I've ever been proven wrong. But my guess is no more than 10 days to 2 weeks. Believe me, the manufacturers and the workers all can agree on one thing, that a strike isn't good for anybody. Okay? It's just not. So I think there will be a lot of pressure to resolve it as quickly as possible. And so that's why I don't think it'll last more than a week, 10 days to 2 weeks. But, only time will tell. I'm trying to apply logic, and sometimes, you could just throw logic out the window. But I have to believe that both sides, whether it be the UAW or whether it be the manufacturers, they're all going to talk tough right up to 11:59 p.m. tonight. Okay,
Really?
and they'll talk tough for a few days, and then they'll go, "This ain't good. This isn't good for us. This isn't good for you. Let's figure out how to get your union members back to work. Let's figure out how we can get these factories cranked up to build vehicles and ship them out." And so everybody will start to soften the rhetoric and soften their demands. And I've mentioned it to you before. In every negotiation, there are things that you initially ask for that you never expect to get. They're merely there so you can say, "Okay, we'll take this off the board." That's the only reason they're there, so it can look like you're giving something up.
Yep.
And what you're giving up is something you never thought you were going to get. And that goes for the manufacturers as well as it goes for the union. So both sides have crap built into their negotiating postures that they're readily willing and able to give up because they never expect to get it anyway. And so I think, we'll see that happen.
Do you think, Dad, I think I know the answer to this question. We just looked at the Ford pricing for next year.
Yes.
Do you think that already factors in whatever the resolution is with the UAW? It must, right? Like they didn't set that pricing thinking, our costs are going to stay the same. So Ford prices, GM prices, Stellantis prices, we should expect that they continue to go up because they already know that their labor costs are going to increase.
Well, of course they do. They knew that this was the year for contract renegotiations. So yeah, they plan it in, and they know what the escalators are for every year. And now I was watching part of Sean Fain's talk from yesterday, and they claim that labor costs for the big three, out of the total of all the expenses, is about 4 to 5%. And so his theory is, so even if they doubled what they paid us, they'd still be making huge profits without having to impact their pricing. Well, that's a great thing to say, except if you double the labor costs and you haven't raised your pricing, that's a 50% increase in the cost of labor. It's not a 4 or 5% increase. It's a 50% increase. So yeah, they're going. Yeah, are they willing to cut their profit 50%? I don't think so. Let's be realistic. Whatever increase there is, ultimately it gets passed on to the consumer. It's a cost of manufacturing, and the cost of manufacturing is built into the pricing of every vehicle that these manufacturers produce. They know what it is.
Is Ford? I'm confused. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Maybe someone in the chat can help me out here.
Yeah.
Again, this is pricing for F-150s in 2024. XL starting at $38,565.
And am I correct in assuming that that's plus freight?
Maybe that's what it is, because I'm on cars.com and here's the 2023 MSRPs.
Yeah.
XL is $39,195.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, no, the 38,000, I'm reading it here, Dad. Sorry for everyone. The 38,565 includes the $1,995 destination charge.
what? $2,000 in a destination charge these days? Oh my goodness gracious. You know, we talk about dealer dock fees that are out of hand, that are profit centers, but $1,995 destination charge. Oh my goodness gracious. How much profit is built into that number? You know, if Mini can do it for, I don't know, $995 or $1195, and I know you're going to tell me, well, you can fit a lot more minis on a trailer than you can in them trucks. Yeah, sure, but still, it's not double.
What about the fact that this, I think, is absolutely hilarious? Destination fees, delivery fee, $2,000. At the same exact time, you have headlines like this: GM workaround for shipping snag, dealer picks up from factory.
Yeah,
So manufacturers are struggling so much to actually even ship their vehicles to dealers that they're now paying and incentivizing dealers to come do manufacturer pickups at the same time as you're just saying $2,000 for the destination. But I'm trying to figure out that
how much do they save the dealer when the dealer comes and picks up their
they
own
pay
car?
the dealer $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they still make $1,000 on the delivery fee.
Yeah, and they haven't spent a dime. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I don't think Ford lowered the entry level MSRP for their 2024 F-150, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm off. Again, if someone could fact check me, because what's also confusing here is at the top. Let me pull this back up on the screen. At the top of cars.com, it says starting at $34,585.
Really?
Did Ford? I don't think Ford had a lower trim level for 2023. Again, someone smarter than me, please help me out here.
Maybe it was just an X.
No L.
Yeah, or it was an L with no X.
An L with no X.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Could be one of the two. But either way, no matter how you slice it, I think we're both in alignment. The domestic automakers, they're not too disappointed to see what's happening, and this will not last long. That still stands. That is the CarEdge, the Zach and Ray chefs could take. This will not last long.
Yes, and as I said before, is the possibility there that I'll be proven wrong? Absolutely. I've been proven wrong many times in my life, and when I am wrong, I'm not afraid to say, "Hey, I was wrong. Ray Shefska, I was wrong." And oftentimes when I'm wrong is because I try to apply logic to some of these things. And logically speaking, you just know that there is no true benefit to either side if there is a prolonged work stoppage. There just isn't.
Let's switch gears, Pops. We had from Anya, what will stop once the strike starts? Vehicle production. That is one of the big ones. And there will actually be some downstream effects too. We've had Canadian unions also say that they're going to go on strike. Auto transport is going to have all sorts of issues. So a lot of things will stop once there's a strike. And earlier in the show, Dad, from Eric Strunk, we had a thoughtful super sticker. That looks good.
Thank you, Eric.
That looks good, Dad.
Yeah.
Why don't we switch gears and let's have a little bit of fun? Could you hit me with it?
Really? You got to be kidding me.
All right. This always surprises me, Dad. The amount of technology that we put in cars, I find it to be fascinating. This one really took my breath away. Google announces new in-car app integrations, including Zoom and Prime Video. Google is expanding its app offerings across its open source infotainment platform and across cars with Google's applications built in. How do you feel, Dad, about your car having built-in video conferencing and video streaming services?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah, how do you feel about it?
Well, if I'm in the back seat and my chauffeur is driving the car and he can't watch any of this stuff, but I can, I guess I'd be okay with that because I don't want to miss Thursday night football for any reason at all. And you never know when Zach's going to say, hey, Dad, can you get on a Zoom call with me right now? And I don't want to have to turn them down. What do I think about that? I think it's some of the most nonsensical thing I've ever heard of. And I'll go back to, I guess it was in the 80s, when all of a sudden everybody, not just doctors anymore, but everybody had to have a pager, a digital pager. You know, before everybody had to have one, the only people that needed to have one were doctors and drug dealers. Okay. Other than that, nobody needed to have a digital pager.
Okay.
And then suddenly it became, I'm important enough to have a digital pager. Get me a digital pager. And it's like when you're driving to work, somebody buzzes you and pages you. Oh, you're important. We need you right. Okay, and then it became cell phones, and because God knows, who might you miss talking to while you're driving to work that could be so very important that you wouldn't have been able to talk to, I don't know, 5 years before, and somehow the world still worked. Okay, it just did, and so all this nonsense keeps progressing. And so suddenly Google thinks, well, it would be important for you while you're in your car to be able to access Zoom so that, it's such an important meeting, you can't miss it. Or you need to be able to access Prime Video. That's pure nonsense. Okay. The world worked before we even had radio and TV. Okay, how did people get by? What did kids do? Okay, when they didn't have screens,
what did they do?
The big screen for kids at a certain point in time was the screen door that let them in and out of their house so they could go play. Okay, as opposed to sitting around staring. I mean, how old were you when we got you your first cell phone?
Probably like 12 or 14, somewhere in there. Yeah.
And today, because everything happens exponentially faster, they probably start getting kids cell phones when they're 7 or 8 years old, so they can entertain themselves. When I was a kid, we entertained ourselves by being outside and playing. Okay, so you don't need Zoom in your car, and you don't need Prime Video in your car. It's just, damn, there's more to life than all this crap. And
go ahead. What about though, Dad, just quickly, what about WebEx? Are you maybe more of a WebEx guy? Because they're also building in WebEx and the Weather Channel and Vivaldi web browser. Like, how do you feel about those?
Oh my, I don't. Well, first of all, I don't know how I've lived without Vivaldi all these years. I thought I've had a pretty complete life, but apparently I never heard of Vivaldi, and I have no idea what I've missed. Just live life, okay? Don't live apps. Live life. That's all. Just live life, and go experience life. And there's that thing, VR, virtual reality. Well, what the hell's wrong with real reality? What's wrong with just live reality? It doesn't have to be virtual. You don't need to put goggles on and say, oh my God, I'm in a medieval castle and there's this knight coming. Get the hell out of here. Go outside. Go do something. Go read something. You don't need this stuff. I'm sorry. You don't, maybe it's my 72 years of age that are making me say these things, but please, I don't need a car that drives itself. I don't need a car that while it's driving itself, I could be watching Thursday Night Football, or I could be on a Zoom meeting, or I could check the Weather Channel. Stop. Just stop.
CarEdge.com/deal school. We recently made the decision to make Deal School 100% free.
I saw that.
So please, if you have not enrolled, it is 100% free. CarEdge.com/deal school. In here, we walk you through how to find your vehicle, how to get ready for going to the dealership, how to negotiate your car deal, how to go through the finance and insurance office, and actually taking delivery. Every single section comes with a quiz as well as downloadable PDF. So, for example, who to contact at the dealership. Maybe you're on this section. You get the video, you get the key takeaways, and you can click up here and view the PDF. There is also a chat, so you can see what other community members have said and other questions they've asked during every single section of the Deal School. So please, 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 100% free. We should probably update the logo on here now that I'm looking at that. But that
you probably should. Yeah.
CarEdge.com/deal school, 100% free. Please go take a peek. Pops, we will be back tomorrow.
I've heard that rumor. Yeah, I believe it'll be noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, 8 a.m. in Anchorage, 6 a.m. in Honolulu. And for those of you in Hong Kong, I have no idea what time we'll be on there. But check your local listings.
Check your local listings. We'll see you then. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, honey. I wish you'd stop doing that nonsense to me so that I end up doing a rant when I...
You're good. You're good. You're
cool.
Good.